Good morning. We are going to make some Italian meatballs, and then I'm going to put some spaghetti together because I want to have spaghetti for dinner. So, hello, welcome to my kitchen. Good morning. It's cool here this morning. It was only 39 degrees here this morning. And I just turned on my water for my pasta, and I have, of course, the babies getting their treats. So, and yeah, I'm in my big old baggy breeches this morning. It's cool here this morning. I'm going to get my hands washed and we will get started. How is everyone this morning? Is it cold where you're at? It's supposed to be around 70 here today, but it was about 39 here this morning. And I'm going to make some Italian meatballs, and I'm going to make some spaghetti. So that's what is on the agenda today. That's what I'm going to be doing. So if you're just coming in, welcome to my kitchen. I'm just getting some water ready for the pasta. Oh goodness, there we go. I always add just a little bit of oil in my pasta water and a little bit of salt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make homemade meatballs. And then I'm just going to put a basic sauce together. My husband has problems with tomatoes, so I try not to overdo his pasta sauce. So that we're going to make some Italian meatballs. And then we're going to put together a spaghetti. So I'm going to go ahead and start this water for my pasta. Let it start getting warmed up. And I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees. Make sure I don't have anything in there. So we're going to make some Italian meatballs. Oil does not work. Waste of oil. Actually, it helps me keep my pasta from sticking. I think it seems to do pretty good. So I'm going to just bring it over here and I'm going to put together some Italian meatballs. Let me see. I'm going to move this out of my way. Move this over. Got some hamburger. And I want some garlic powder. So how are you this morning? How are you doing? Let's make some Italian meatballs and some, I'll put together spaghetti. And all I'm doing over here is I have my oven heating and I've got some water on boiling for my noodles. I just make a basic Italian noodles. I'm a retired Italian chef and I never use oil. You just need to stir the pasta. Oh, okay. It seems like anymore every time I try to just do the plain pasta, it wants to stick even though I'm stirring it. So I've been just adding a little bit of oil to the water to see if that helps with the pasta. And I'm just making a basic meatball, nothing special. My husband has been having a lot of health problems, so I'm trying to not over season or like spaghettis and stuff. And he's really having problems with the tomatoes. So I'm putting some Italian seasoning in, and I'm putting a little bit of garlic powder, and I'm just going to use an oatmeal as a filler for my meatballs. So let me get, probably about a half a cup, maybe a quarter cup, let me see. Okay, I'm going to try that and see where we're at. And I'm using a half a cup. Make a cream sauce. I thought about that and asked him about it, but he still wants the tomato taste. I bought some of the bouillon, the tomato bouillon, but I don't know how his system will react to it. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try and play around a little bit with this and see what he thinks of it. I did suggest let's do away with the tomato and go with like a cream sauce. And he said, I really like the tomato taste, just don't add any chunked tomatoes and try and make it as basic as you can. They put him on some different medications after he had his stents put in. Okay, add a dash of cream at the end. Oh, I could do that. Yes, I could do that. So I'm trying to keep everything as basic, but after he had several stents put in, they changed his medications. And for some reason, his body does not like tomatoes anymore. He didn't have a problem at all with tomatoes before that. But now, he seemed to be having a problem with tomatoes. And the medication they're supposed to be giving him to help him with any type of acid reflux just doesn't seem to be working, so they're still playing around with that medication. So, we're going to see what happens. Now, all I've got in here is Italian seasoning and a little bit of garlic powder. I'm trying to keep it as basic as I can because of his health and his health problems right now. So, it's still similar to an Italian meatball. It's what I call his Italian meatball now. And I was just buying the frozen ones at the store, and those, he had a major problem with the Italian meatballs from the store. So once I started making my own, his body seems to adjust really well with it. Okay, I think that's probably good. I wanted to make sure I got it mixed good. I got my oven preheating to 350, and I could just have some water on boiling for the pasta. Now I'm just going to use a scoop. So you need to mellow out the acidities. Yes, I got to mellow out acidities because he's just, and he hates it because he loves chili and he loves spaghetti and Italian dishes, and he's having a terrible time with it. And I feel bad because I don't want him to have that acid reflux. I'm just going to scoop these out and then I'll form them into a ball. So it's a big adjustment for him, and it's a big adjustment for me as a cook. So I'm trying to find a balance that works for him. And it's just the two of us, so I'm making the meatballs, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my sauce ready. And then I'm just going to add the meatballs into the sauce and let them cook, just cook slowly, so that sauce can get through the meatballs. Now I have been making a lot of my own bread and different things like that to try and keep everything as natural or more natural for him. And I've got my own wheat berries, so I've been milling my own flours, and I have sourdough that I made my own starter. So I'm trying to get him on more natural foods to try and help him with his problems. And it's hard to change somebody's diet that they really like. And I don't want to shock his body, but I want to slowly get his body used to something else. He does seem to do really good on all the natural breads, and I do bake a lot from scratch. Good stuff, yes, good stuff. He definitely needed to go more natural. So we're working on it. And again, it's just myself and my husband, so I'm still making extra, so some of these I'll just go ahead and freeze. But I'm trying to do everything as natural as I can and getting more away from the store-bought and the acids and all of the extra additives that they add into your food at the grocery or at the factories. Okay, now I can go ahead and form those up. And I'm by no means Italian. I was born and raised in West Virginia. So we did a lot of southern cooking and baking. Now tomorrow he's going to have I'm making a pork loin, and I'm adding a little bit of soy sauce, and a little bit of Worcestershire and brown sugar as a glaze, and baking it slowly in the oven. And then I'm going to make him some scalloped potatoes and a vegetable with that tomorrow. So I try to keep his diet rotated, so he's doing a lot better, but there's some days that he'll eat just the least little thing and it just really bothers him. So after 16 years, I'm learning to, and my oven's preheated, I'm learning to cook again for him. And I've been looking at a lot of different recipes that are low acid or no acid. And that way he still has a nice balanced meal. But he's absolutely loving all of the new breads, and I've been making all his cakes and desserts with the fresh flour that I'm grinding, and he's liking that. I made banana bread, and he said, boy, he said, I can't believe how much fluffier and how much better that flour tastes just in the banana bread. So I'm slowly moving him over to that. Of course, I am still using flour from the store, but I'm using a unbleached flour, and I'm making like my own fettuccine noodles and egg noodles. So those are all homemade. I know that but the spaghetti noodles, I haven't made them yet. I do have the pasta and Beyond pasta maker, but I haven't tried to make the spaghetti pasta with it yet. But he said he absolutely loves the egg noodles that I make and the fettuccine noodles that I make. And he loves noodles. Any type of pasta. So he wanted spaghetti and meatballs. Excellent. Yes, Queen. Hi, good morning. How are you this morning? We're making what is my cutback now, Italian meatballs. I cut back on my spices, and I'm going to put some spaghetti together for my husband. So I have some water on boiling for my pasta. And I don't have the area. Well, enjoy. It's late here, so see you again. Well, thank you, and thank you for all of your suggestions. And, you know, I'm not Italian, so I do appreciate it. With you being a retired Italian chef, thank you so much. And thank you for your kindness. You were very kind. So we're putting together some meatballs. My pleasure. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Come back and see me sometime when we're on live stream, and maybe you can give me some really good hints that'll help with my husband's problem with his acid with the tomatoes and tomato products. So I'm just making sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So I'm making some spaghetti this morning. Spaghetti and meatballs. And then I need to dehydrate some chicken jerky for the puppies. I have my exhaust fan on because I'm preheating my oven to 350. And all I put in the Italian meatballs this morning was some Italian seasoning, some garlic powder, of course my ground beef, and I used an oatmeal as a filler. Okay, I'm going to get these in the oven and get those baking. Wash my hands here real quick. I'm going to move you back just a little bit. If you're just coming in, I made some Italian meatballs, and now I'm going to make some spaghetti. to go ahead and get these in the oven. Hi there, I'm new. Hi, good morning. How are you this morning? We made some Italian meatballs this morning. I'm going to go ahead and get those in the oven. And I've got some water on cooking for pasta. And the only thing I put in my Italian meatballs was some Italian seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder, my ground beef, and then I used a oatmeal, and I just used like quick oats. And I used quick oats as a filler. And I just got those ready and put those in the oven, and I've got them on 350 degrees baking. Now I'm going to flip this over. Because here in a minute I'm going to be doing some chicken breast. So I'm just flipping that over. And I have a pan here ready. Just and I'm just going to be using 2 jars. Looks great. I love cooking and doing old recipes and canning. Oh, great, great. I love to cook and to can and preserve, dehydrate. And actually, I've got my dehydrator set out already. I'm going to be dehydrating chicken jerky, making chicken jerky for the puppies. That's what they love. So I'm going to be using just 2 jars of the traditional Prego. And if you just come in, we were talking about my husband. He's having problems with the acidity, and he loves tomatoes, but I can't put the tomatoes in with my spaghetti sauce anymore. I used to add the diced tomatoes, and I can't do that. They changed his medications after he had his stents put in, and I don't know if it's the medications that he's on, but something changed his system. And now he's having a lot of problems with anything that has a lot of tomatoes. Yes, I do homesteading foods. Oh, wow. Wow. Awesome. I love it. I love it. I'm just getting used to because of his diet changing. I'm trying to get him more all natural. So I did invest in the grain meal. I have the Nutri-Grain, the stone one, and I started doing my own flour and making like my own fettuccine noodles and things like that to try and get his body more used to more natural foods with no preservatives in them, and he's doing a lot better with that. But he wanted spaghetti today, so I can't add a whole lot of oomph to my spaghetti because of his acidity, so I'm just going to stick with the basic spaghetti sauce. I'm going to add some Italian seasoning, same thing I'm putting in the meatballs. So I'm going to add some Italian seasoning. I'm going to add some garlic powder. Check on my water here. It's getting close. So I'm adding some garlic powder. And I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar to try and help break down that tanginess in the sauce. And this looks like a lot, but this is a very tiny scoop. So I'm going to put in about 4. And that's probably equal to about a tablespoon or just a little bit more. That's Great Natural Foods is so much better. I also have Natural Always. Oh, wow. That is amazing. Awesome. Awesome. I know my mother preserved food and done everything. We were raised in West Virginia, and we had a garden, and my mother preserved everything. All of her vegetables, her fruit, jams, jellies. And then my grandmother was a Mennonite, and she canned and preserved everything. But as you got older, it was so easy just to go to the store and get it. And it's easy to get in the habit of just go to the store and buy. And like I have said before, if the lockdowns in 2020 taught us anything, it was that we really need to have preservatives and have everything in our pantry, you know, and to stock our pantry up, not to overstock, not to panic buy, but to make sure that you have enough in your pantry if there would be, like, say, another lockdown or something. At least you know that you have enough in there for at least 30 days or 90 days or, you know, whatever it may be. Now that has just a little bit of tomatoes in it. That's a traditional. So there is just a few tomatoes in it. But that's, unless I make my sauce myself, I don't think I'm going to be able to find a store-bought spaghetti sauce that doesn't have any tomatoes in it. I was raised in Arkansas and Oklahoma from Cherokee Nation. So I learned how to make old-time herbal medicine. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Now, my great-grandmother on my mother's side was full-blooded Indian, and her last name was Yoakum. And up around the Seneca Rocks area in West Virginia, I guess there was a large tribe of Yoakum Indians. I believe they're a branch of Cherokee. Now, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and double check. But it was my great-grandmother on my mother's side. Yes, would have been great-grandmother. Was full-blooded Native American. Okay, I've got my meatballs in the oven. Got my water on for my pasta, and I added just a little bit of salt and a little bit of vegetable oil. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn this burner on low. I just want it to simmer. And I've got my meatballs in the oven. And my water is boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and get my pasta. I have a pantry. You can and make bread and everything. I made homemade sourdough bread using my hard berries that I ground. I made that, and I did my starter from scratch. And then yesterday I did some homemade white sandwich bread. So I love to bake. I absolutely love baking. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down just a little bit, and I'm going to get my pasta in there. Now tomorrow I'm doing a pork loin, and I take my pork loin and I completely line my pan all the way down and up, and then all the way down and up. So when I set my loin in, I can bring my top in and I can bring it down for the loin to cook. Very slow, bake slow. And so I'm going to be doing the pork loin. I'm going to have it lined in the aluminum foil, like I would a ham if I was baking a ham almost. And I add a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and brown sugar, and I put that over my pork loin and let my pork loin start baking, and then I constantly am basting that up over. Well, that's beautiful bread. I'm a homemaker. I make homemade butter. I made homemade butter the other day on a live stream. Love making ham dumplings. I've tried chicken and dumplings, but I've not made the ham dumplings. I did a live the other day on making homemade butter with a small churn. And I think that was one day last week, whenever I did the homemade butter. And I was using it was a little kit, it was called the Amish Turn and Churn Pro. I love what you do. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. How nice of you. Okay, and I just got my pasta now in the water, and there's a little bit of salt in this water and just a little vegetable oil. And I've made, I think, a blueberry jam on one of my live streams. And then I did a live stream where I was preserving chicken, where I did chicken, canned pork, and canned beef. So that way they could see how to can their own meats and preserve their own meats and have those in the pantry as well. Check my meatballs and see how we're doing there. Oh, those are looking amazing. I'm going to turn them a little bit. I've got my sauce together and I've got it on. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. I just want it to barely start cooking. I've got my pasta on. And yes, I have hot plates, but I just grab my rags, and I've got brand new ones. It's just habit. I guess I'm just old-fashioned, and I just grab it and use it. What's your weather like there today? It was 39 degrees here today. I do water bath a lot. Yeah, I do. Now, when I do the jams, of course, I'm water bathing. Now, I don't have access to a garden, so I can't really do my tomatoes and things like that. I do have blueberry bushes, so I'll go out and pick my berries and clean them and wash them, and then I will freeze them. And then when I'm making my jam and jellies, I'll set it in my ball jam. I've got the ball jelly and jam maker set up. And I'll just put everything in it, and then let my frozen berries thaw out. That way I'm rotating my blueberries. And they'll be coming back in June. Yeah. So I'll probably be making some blueberry jam here within the next week or so I can get some more of my frozen berries. Me too, our rags are nice. Yeah. Now I have a place in Wyoming where I'm not in the 45 degrees. We had snow yesterday. Oh my goodness. It was 39 here this morning. That's why I'm in my big, long, comfortable. They're almost like pajamas because it was cool here this morning. It was 39 degrees. And we're in Ohio. I'm in southeastern Ohio. And we're right on the Ohio River. I can actually go out on my deck and I can watch the barges go up and down the river, but I'm not close enough that I'm right on the river, but I can actually see the barges because they're tall enough that I can see the barges go up and down the Ohio River. Have you tried white lily flower? No, I haven't. Usually the only thing I'm using right now is if I buy from the store, I'm buying the white unbleached, to make like the fettuccine noodles. If I'm making something like this, I'll go ahead and just use my where do you get white lily? White lily. What's white lily? Yeah, I've never heard of it. I'm going to have to check into it. Now, I'm just using, if I'm buying from the store, I'll just get the white, or the all-purpose unbleached. If I'm making like my fettuccine. It's been around since 1940. It's white lily flower. I'll have to check into it. Is that a lot better than the all-purpose? Like if I want a store-buy all-purpose flower, is it more of a natural flower, the white lily flower? Because I have not heard of it, but I will check it out. I'll watch another baker that swears by it. Oh, okay. Now, I have not tried it yet. And like I was saying earlier, my husband's having a lot of digestive changes because they had put a bunch of stents in. He had several stents, both legs and his heart. And they started him on different medications. So now his digestive system, he's having like a lot of acid reflux and different things. So I'm trying to get him to as much all natural as he can. I'm getting ready to buy bulk flour from Azure Standard. I'm bulking my pantry. Yes, definitely. I mean, if 2020 taught us anything, we should always have a prepared pantry. Now, I'm not saying go out and panic buy, and by all means, do not go hoard. But, you want to have a well-stocked pantry. I normally have about, like if I go get sugar, I'll go get 2 25-pound bags of sugar, and I've got the 5-gallon buckets. I've got flour, now my flour, since it's store-bought, I'm only using the 2-gallon buckets. and rotating the 2-gallon buckets. And this is one with this is the bread flour. Now, there's a lot of things I will use just the bread flour and not the all-purpose unbleached. Another thing I like to keep on hand, and I use it all the time on my channel, is the whole milk. I'll get the the powdered whole milk, but your whole milk powder will only last about 12 months because of the fats that's in it. Now your 2% will last, you know, for years because it doesn't have that fat. And with it only being myself and my husband, a lot of times, even if I get a half gallon of milk, you know, it'll go bad. So I just keep the whole milk powder and the 2% powder. And when I need milk, I'll just mix this up for baking or cooking, because we really don't drink a whole lot of milk. Yes, there's 3 different types, or 4, I believe. You can order it online. I'll have to check it out. Seriously, I'm buying the small bags at Dollar Store because it's so expensive. Everything has just gotten so expensive, and my husband and I are on a budget, you know, monthly budget. So one month I'll go and pick up maybe some powdered milk. Another month maybe I'll pick up some pasta. Another month maybe I'll pick up some extra dried beans. You know, and I'm slowly building up my pantry. I'm not trying to go out and spend, you know, everything at once and build it up. But I think you really should have, you know, a well-balanced and well-stocked pantry. And you can do it slowly. And another thing that I like to get, and I'll get like maybe one, this is the tomato bouillon. And then I'll get maybe one of the chicken bouillon and one of the beef bouillon. You know, and that way I'm buying it slowly. I'm not overstocking. I'm not really hoarding. But if something would happen, because my husband and I are getting older, and we do go camping a lot, and a lot of times when we were camping in the camper, I may be an hour from the store. So, you know, if I needed tomatoes, I've got the powder. If I needed milk, I've got the powder. If I need chicken broth or beef broth, I've got the powder. So, and those things last for years. So, as I'm building my pantry, I want to make sure that, I'm building a well-balanced pantry, and that I'm not overstocking in some things and not getting others. So I do have some things that are just like short term that I call my regular pantry, that I use every day. I'm always going in, getting something out of it. And then I'll have my longer term pantry where it's my backup stock. So I can just go into the pantry and I'll have maybe a case of green beans, a case of corn, you know, a case of mixed vegetables, and then I'm constantly rotating those. I'm using the pantry, my everyday pantry, and when I get down to my last can, then I'll go into my pantry and I'll bring it out, and then I know I need to restock that pantry, so that way everything's rotating. And it's not as expensive that way, because I'm not trying to bulk buy. And I have not tried Asher Standard yet. I do order the hard white wheat berries and soft white wheat berries online. And I only have a family of 2. So I do have the wheat berries, and I do have the Nutri-Grain Stone grinder that I grind my flour. So I do have the berries. I have the hard white and the soft white. And, you know, one month I may go and pick up when I'm doing my regular grocery shopping, I may pick up a couple different beans. I may pick up a 2-pound bag of pinto beans, and and then pick up some Great Northern beans. And that way, I'm not breaking my budget, and I'll try to put maybe $20 off to the side. And if I can go ahead and pick up maybe 2 bags of beans or whatever, then I'll go ahead and do that. And then I'll get them, when I get them home, I'll take them out of the container that they come in, the bag, and put them in a glass container. And then I'll put them in my long-term pantry. And that way I'm not going out of my budget. I'm not overspending. And then I do make my own pasta. So I invested in a pasta maker, plus I have the hand crank pasta maker, and I have the attachment for my KitchenAid, so I can make my own pastas as well. So anywhere like that I can save, I'll just go ahead. Now normally when I make pasta, I think it's 4 pounds of pasta that I make, and lay it out on cookie sheets lined with aluminum foil. And it'll be enough to fill up 2-gallon jars. And this is what I have left out of the last time that I made the 4 pounds of pasta and dried it. So I know when this one's getting down, I'm going to need to make some more. So I have my other gallon jar already washed, and the next time I make pasta, I'll have to have some more pasta ready. And then I can fill my jars back up. And that way I'm constantly rotating my stock. That's pretty pasta. Oh, well, thank you. It's me and my husband, too. We're empty nesters. My daughter is going to be 46 this month. And it's just my husband and myself. So when I do cook, like today, I'm making a large amount of spaghetti and spaghetti sauce and meatballs. And then what I'll do is I'll portion it out, and I'll have our pasta, our spaghetti dinners for tonight. And then I'll just mix my sauce and my pasta together and my meatballs, and then I'll just put that in the freezer, and I'll have a freezer meal for another day. What time is supper? Usually around 5. And we're making our homemade meatballs. We've got pasta going. We've got sauce going. And those meatballs are looking amazing. I'm going to give those, I'm going to put the timer on for about 10 minutes. And I think I'll pull those meatballs out. And I'll go ahead and make extra, and that way I've been in the kitchen once, but I've made enough that I've got dinner tonight, and then I'll just combine my sauce, my pasta, and meatballs, everything together, and put it in a container, put it in the freezer, and I'll have a freezer meal for another day. And if I'm in a hurry, I can just go in and pull it out, and I've got a whole meal of spaghetti and meatballs ready. I live in Mexico, so I might be late. Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. You can take your time. Now, don't hurry, but there's always food in my kitchen. You're always welcome. And I just have this sauce on low. And this is just a basic sauce. It's not umped up because of my husband's acidity. All I did was use 2 jars of the Prego, and I went with the traditional because it doesn't have all of the tomato chunks and all the extras in it, so this is about as plain as you can get. And he likes the Prego brand, so he likes the traditional. And so I have no tomatoes or anything extra added to my sauce. The only extra I added was some garlic powder and some Italian seasoning and just a little bit of sugar. So once I get all this done, I'm going to be going up to work on the new property here in just a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get all of this done, and then I'll mix my pasta and my sauce and everything together, and I'll have one container I'll have ready for this evening for dinner, and then I'll have another container for the freezer. So I've cooked once and I've got 2 meals. And when you're cooking for a family of 2, you don't want to have a whole lot of waste. So this helps me be able to just do it once, and then I'm stocking my freezer back up. So if I'm in a hurry one day, I can just look in there and say, wow, well there's a, spaghetti and meatballs. I'll just have that for dinner. All I have to do is fix some Texas toast, garlic toast. Okay, I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. I'm going to let that sauce start cooking just a little bit higher. And then here in just a few minutes, I'm going to pull out that those meatballs. And the same thing when I do my pork loin. I'll buy bulk, so this one is half. It was twice that long, and I'll cut it in half. So this is going to be my dinner tomorrow, and I'm using half a pork loin. And I know even with a half a pork loin, my husband and I is probably only going to be able to eat the half. And that's going to be a lot just for the 2 of us. So the other half is frozen in the freezer, so I can still buy bulk and pay bulk prices, which you get a little better price, but divide it up into 2 freezer meals, so that made me 2 evenings that I'll be able to fix pork loin or make pulled pork sandwiches or, whatever I'd like to do with it. So that's what I do for a family of 2. And then, of course, I'm making my homemade sourdough bread. I have my own, I started my starter from scratch, so I do make the sourdough bread. And then yesterday, I made this loaf of sandwich bread. So I'm always cooking and baking and, trying new things, but I want to try and keep everything as natural as I can. So, but if I do have all-purpose flour and I need to keep it moving, I'm going to use all-purpose flour. Like when I'm making my homemade sandwich bread, I had some flour, all-purpose unbleached flour that I wanted to rotate through. So I did use that yesterday. I didn't meal my flour for it. But my starter, the starter for like my homemade sourdough bread, I'm using fresh milled flour, and I'm using the hard white wheat berries, and I'm grinding my own flour. So I'm feeding my sourdough starter fresh milled flour. So that's kind of helping my husband's diet as well, since he's having problems with the new medication, since they put the heart stents and stents in both legs. Me going more natural and giving him more of a natural diet is really helping. So anything that I can preserve, if I can do homemade breads, I started making my own pasta. You've seen the fettuccine pasta. Now I haven't made the spaghetti yet, but the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker that I got does make both the fettuccine. It makes the fettuccine noodles, it makes macaroni noodles, it makes pasta, spaghetti noodles. So it does do all of them. Let me see, we're down to about 3 minutes. Oh, those look amazing. I'm just going to turn them one last time. And then I'm going to bring those out and I'm going to mix those into my sauce. Having a little bit of coffee here this morning. It was cold here this morning. It was about 39 degrees. That's why I'm in my big old baggy britches, as I call them. I'm just comfortable. And this is like one of my favorite pizza pans. I've had this thing for so long. It looks dirty, but it's not. It's just well seasoned. And I use this for like my Texas toast to put in the oven. So I'm going to get some Texas toast on that. And when I pull those meatballs out, I'll start some Texas toast. And yes, this is store-bought, so I am cheating on that. And I'm just going to do about 4 pieces. That'll be plenty for my husband and I. I did make some homemade bread to turn into Texas toast or garlic toast, but I'm trying to use up in my freezers what I had already store-bought. But I do have some homemade, and it turned out amazing. Okay, we're getting ready to take those meatballs out. So let me see what I can move here. Let me see where my pasta's at. Okay, I'm going to leave that pasta right off that burner now. And I'm going to be setting my meatballs right up there. Oh, those look delicious and they smell absolutely amazing. So there's my meatballs. And I'm going to go ahead and get my meatballs into my sauce. My sauce has started to boil a little bit, so I'm going to turn it back down. I don't want it to scorch. And I'm going to add those meatballs right in to my sauce. Oh, those smell so good. And I'm going to use about half of these meatballs, and then I'm going to freeze the other half. So I'll have some for another meal. Let me see what we've got here. Oh yeah, that looks like it's going to be plenty. That's going to be plenty of meatballs in there. So I'm going to let these meatballs cool, and I'm going to just put those in the freezer for another meal. And I'm going to turn up my sauce just a wee bit, not a whole lot. And I'm going to let that sauce get cooked all the way through those meatballs. I didn't want them completely overcooked, but I wanted them cooked, or baked, should I say. Now I'm going to put my Texas toast in the oven. And I'm going to set a timer so I don't forget. I'm going to set that for about 10 minutes. I'll get my lid back on my sauce. And those meatballs turned out amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and save those for another meal. I'm just going to let them cool. Actually, I'm just going to, let me move that out of my way. And I'm going to reverse. I'm going to reverse those because I'm going to be putting my pasta into my spaghetti sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and drain and rinse that pasta. Get me a strainer here, and I'm going to go ahead and strain that pasta. Because I'm going to be mixing that right into my sauce. So let me move you back just a little bit so I have enough room to walk through there. So we have a nice large pot of spaghetti. Do you like spaghetti? I love spaghetti. I absolutely love spaghetti. And I'm just going to rinse that because I had some oil on there and I want to get as much starch off of there as I can. Because my husband has already had the 2 stents in, well, more than 2. Had several stents put in both legs and in his heart. So I want to get as much of that starch out of there as I can. Now we're going to put the spaghetti sauce and the spaghetti all together. I'll bring you back over. And I know my light is really bright. So I'm going to put the sauce into the spaghetti, into the pasta. I'm about to change hands, I think. I might be able to do it. I might be able to do it. I'm not left-handed, so wish me luck on this one. Ah, there we go. Come on, left hand, you can do it. You can do it. Alright, I'm going to change hands here. For the most part, I got most of it with my left hand, but I don't like to waste, so I want to make sure I got all that sauce out of it. And I'm going to set that in the sink so I can get it rinsed. And now we're just going to stir that all up together. And this will make several meals for myself and my husband. At least tonight, and at least tonight and one more. Possibly two more. That's why I like to cook it in a large batch. Because that's a lot of spaghetti. Just look at all that spaghetti. And again, it's only myself and my husband. So I'll be having spaghetti for dinner, and then I'll be dividing the rest of that up into containers and put it in my freezer. And then if I'm in a hurry and need a quick meal, I can just go in and take out a frozen thing of spaghetti and meatballs and let it fall, and I have dinner. All I have to do is get some garlic toast or garlic twist ready, and we have another dinner. And with us working on the new property, there's going to be a lot of evenings that I just need a quick dinner. So when I have a morning like this morning, I can just come in and put things together, and then I have it. There, hopefully you can see that okay. That's a lot of spaghetti and meatballs. And that was homemade meatballs. And the only thing I put in the meatballs was the ground beef. I put in 1 pound of ground beef, and then I added oatmeal as a filler, and I added a little bit of Italian seasoning and a little bit of garlic powder. So I'm going to go ahead and put these meatballs in a little freezer container, and if I want meatball hoagies, I have enough meatballs there for 2, and I can go in and just pull them out of the freezer and have meatball hoagies. But just look at that spaghetti sauce. Look at those meatballs. Turn that off so you can see. So that is going to be dinner. Just look at all those spaghetti. Spaghetti and meatballs. And that is a large, large pot for 2. And I didn't want to overcook that spaghetti because I'll be warming it back up in portions. So that'll be dinner this evening, and then that'll also be dinner for another, at least one more meal. I'm going to check my Texas toast. And I'm going to go ahead and flip that. And I'm going to set that for 10 minutes again. And that will be dinner. So that was Italian meatballs, spaghetti for breakfast. No, that's for dinner tonight. We have the new property that we're going to be working on. And this way I can go ahead and get dinner ready, have it prepared, because I'm waiting for everything to dry up a little bit, because I have the 2 Maltese and I like to take them with me. So my husband's already up on the property, and he has a crew of men up there, and they're cutting some trees and logs and working on the property. So I wanted to go ahead and get dinner ready before I go up. What about lunch, Tammy? We are having hot ham and cheese for lunch, hot ham and cheese sandwiches, and we're having that on homemade sourdough bread. So I'm going to be packing my lunch and taking it with me when I go up to the new property. I've already got my little cooler ready. So we're having hot ham and cheese sandwiches, and I'm going to do those on the griddle and go ahead and grill them up just a little bit. And then we're going to have spaghetti and meatballs and Texas toast when we come home. All I have to do is heat it up and put it on a plate, heat it up in the microwave, and we have a quick dinner because we're probably both going to be tired. Where are you? I am in Ohio. I'm originally from West Virginia, but I live in Ohio. My husband was from Ohio, and we stayed in Ohio because of his work. He's a carpenter, and he built homes from the ground up, and then done a lot of specialty jobs. If you lived in Texas, is it just toast? Probably just toast. I'm just calling it Texas toast because that's what the box said. And I'm using up my store-bought. I did make some homemade bread for the my garlic toast, but I'm trying to use up what I already bought from the store. And I had this box and one more box in my freezer, and that's when I open my freezer up so that I can then fill it up with my own homemade bread and butter and garlic, and then it's, yes, just garlic toast. But this, the box said it was Texas toast, so that's what we're calling it, Texas toast. But it is garlic toast. Check that. Still good. So that is going to be dinner. And then what I'll do is I'll divide it up into 2 containers because it's only myself and my husband. So I will put the one for tonight and then one for the freezer. So this way I'm making one large meal, and I'll have it for today for dinner, and then I'll have it in the freezer for another meal. And it's only taken me the same amount of time to make a larger amount and then split it up and then have at least 2 meals out of it. So that's what I'll be doing with the spaghetti. And then the meatballs, I'll be putting those in a container. And I'll be setting those in the freezer. And those will be for a night if I want to make meatball hoagies. I can just get everything ready, set my slow cooker up, my crock pot, put my sauce in it, my meatballs in it, turn it on low. And then while we're out working on the property, I can come in and just put a couple meatball hoagies together. So that's given me at least 2 meals of the spaghetti and meatballs and garlic toast. And it's also given me some extra meatballs that I can put in the freezer and have those for meatball hoagies. Because when you're only cooking for 2, you don't want to waste. So that's going to give me meatballs for meatball subs for another meal. I'll just put those in the freezer. And it's going to give me the extra meal of spaghetti. And all I do is just divide this up. I can go ahead and do that, I guess, while I'm waiting here. Because then I'll be washing this anyway. Let me move this out of my way here. Let me make me some room. And I'll just divide this up into a couple containers. And this will be at least 2 meals. This will be dinner tonight and dinner another day. I am messy today. That way I know I've got a lot accomplished this morning before I went up to the new property with puppies. I call them puppies. They're now a year old and going on 2 years old, so they're not really puppies. So that is going to give me 2 meals of spaghetti and meatballs. So I'm going to go ahead and get that sauce out of there. This way, if you're cooking for 2, you're not wasting. You can cook in bulk, and then you'll have freezer stock up. And that's a lot of spaghetti. So that's going to make 2 nice servings of spaghetti and meatballs. 1 for tonight. And 1 for a freezer meal. It's a lot of spaghetti. With us buying the new property, there's a lot of work to be done. We have to do everything there. It has to have the power brought in, the driveway brought in, the septic tank put in. And there's a lot of trees that have been cut down, and a lot of logs. So this is going to save me so much when I come home this evening. I've got all that spaghetti and meatballs ready. All I have to do is put it in there. microwave and heat it up. And we have plenty of spaghetti and meatballs for dinner. And we have garlic toast on the side. So that's what I'm doing. And then I have extra meatballs for another day that I'm going to be putting in the freezer, along with one of these of the spaghetti and meatballs. So that's going to give me 2 meals. So if I'm in a hurry, I can go in and pull out my spaghetti and meatballs and let it thaw, and I'll have it for dinner. Just heat it in the microwave, plate it out, heat it. And if I want to make spaghetti and meatball subs, I've got meatballs made for my subs, and that's enough for my husband and I to have each have a sub. So, and then I have the large amount of spaghetti for dinner. So, in an hour and 20 minutes, that gave me 3 meals. Tonight, another freezer meal, and enough meatballs, homemade meatballs, Italian meatballs, for 2 subs, one for myself and one for my husband, for another night. So that is what I'm doing today. And then the only other thing I'm going to do is I've got my dehydrator out, so once I go through and get my kitchen cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some chicken jerky, and I'm going to put it in the dehydrator because I make my puppies their own chicken jerky. I think it's more healthy. It's all natural, organic chicken breast. So once I get all of this cleaned up, I want to go ahead and cut that up and start that. So whenever we come home, that should be finished. And that will give me an easy evening in the kitchen. And I'll be all done. So, that is all I have this morning. I think that's all I'm going to do. Other than I'm still working with my honey and garlic, and I'm doing a fermenting because it's supposed to be a natural immune booster. So I'm trying it. By no means, I'm not a doctor. Please do your own research. I'm not giving you any medical advice, but I've been researching this, and it's supposed to help with your immune system and help boost your immune system. So if you get colds, it's supposed to help you get less colds, or they're not supposed to last as long. And it's supposed to help with inflammation and sinuses. So I'm trying it. So this is just me trying it. And I love honey and I love garlic, so I wanted to give it a try. So as you've seen, it was upside down. Each day I have to reverse it. The first day when I did it, it was just raw garlic peeled, and then I lightly crushed it, and it was at least 8 cloves of garlic, and then raw unfiltered honey, 100% raw unfiltered honey. And that's all there is in here. In the first 24 hours, I left it upright, and then I did the burp like you would with any fermenting. You can hear that air because it has that natural gas build up. So I did the burp and allowed it to let all those natural gases out. And then oh, that smells so good. The honey and the garlic. Oh, that smells amazing. So now today I'm going to leave it right side up. The first day was right side up. The second day I had it burped it, then turned it upside down. And each day I'm rotating that. And this should be ready in 60 days. And then it should last at least 1 year. So each day I can take like a teaspoon of the honey, or I can dice up that garlic on anything that I'm eating, and it'll help build your immune system. It's a natural immune builder. Now that's what they're saying. Of course, I'm not giving you any medical advice, and I did research this for myself. So if you're interested in something like this, please do your own research and make sure that you're following USDA guidelines. I made sure that I was within the USDA guidelines, and this is within that guideline, and I'm just doing this for myself. So by no means I'm not giving you medical advice and telling you to go out and to make your own honey and garlic. But if it was something that you may be interested in, there's a lot of research that you can do. I found a lot of information on it, so I really seem interested in it, and I'm trying it. So this is for my own personal use to help me hopefully build my own immune system up a little bit. And it's just nothing more than raw organic garlic, peeled, and I lightly crushed it in 100% raw and unfiltered honey. So that is all I have to do this morning. So anyway, I think that's it. And as usual, my coffee's probably cold. But if you just come in, we made some Italian meatballs. I turned it into spaghetti and made spaghetti for dinner. I divided it into 2 containers, one for this evening's dinner and one for the freezer for a future meal. And then the extra Italian meatballs I put in a container, and that'll be for another future meal. So that gives me 2 more freezer meals for 2 more dinners. And the meatballs, the extra meatballs, I can make some meatball subs with my homemade meatballs. And we will have our spaghetti for dinner. And our Texas toast or garlic toast on the side. So that is everything I have today. The only thing I put in the meatballs, they were just basic. I'm trying to keep it as basic as I can because my husband's going through some different medical things, and they have him on different medications. So I don't want anything that has too much acid in it because that's causing him a problem. So I'm trying to make everything as natural as I can. And even the spaghetti sauce, I didn't want to add extra tomatoes or extra spices because he's having problems with that until they can get the right medication balanced out for him. I'm going to go put this in the trash. I'll be right back. So basically all I had in the meatballs was I had 1 pound of ground beef. I added about a half a cup or just a little bit over half a cup of just quick oats as a filler, oatmeal. And then I used just a little bit of Italian seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder, and then just mix that all together. And then I put my meatballs out on a pan. I just used a small scoop just to kind of get them all even. And then I rolled them into the balls, put them on the cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil, put them in the oven, and just baked them till they were nice and brown. And then I made the spaghetti sauce, and the only thing I added to it was a little bit of Italian seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder, and then I added just a little bit of sugar. And then once that was cooked and the pasta was cooked, I drained the pasta and rinsed it good to get as much starch off as I could. And then I had my sauce on the other side. I added my meatballs into it and stirred them in really good. And then I added everything together. So this will be an easy, quick meal that I can come in this evening, and I can divide it up between my husband and I on plates, heat it up in the microwave, and then we will have some garlic toast on the side. And he has carrot cake for dessert. So that's what I did this morning. So if you want to go back to the beginning, you'll see all that. And then I just divided that up into containers. This will be a freezer meal for another day. That's why I like to do a large batch cooking all at once, because I'll have today my dinner. I'll have spaghetti for dinner today. I'll put this in the freezer. That'll be a freezer meal for another day. Just take it out and thaw it if I need a quick meal. And I'll have homemade meatballs that I can make a meatball subs if I'm in a hurry. I can just put them in the slow cooker and add my sauce and just let them cook. And when we want our subs, everything will be ready. So that gave me 3 meals today by taking the time, and it's been about an hour and a half. So if you have a small family, you can cook in larger batches and just divide it up like I do and put it in your freezer, and you'll have it for another day for a quick meal. And then I have all my little freezer meals all stacked together. I've got, if I make a large meatloaf, I'll put 2 pieces of meatloaf in a container and put it in the freezer. I'll make mashed potatoes ahead of time and fill a container up about this size with mashed potatoes. If I'm doing like my pork loin that I will be doing tomorrow, we'll have half of that for dinner. And then I'll probably put the other half into a small container. And then I just put my containers in the freezer and I label them. And when I want a quick meal, it's already done. And it only took me the time to fix 1 meal. And I've got multiple freezer meals. So for a family of 2, that works great for us. So I thought I would just bring you along today while I did that. Nothing special, just basic meatballs. A little bit of Italian meatball. And basics on the spaghetti sauce and just pasta. And I did add just a little bit of vegetable oil to my water when I was cooking my pasta, and just a little bit of salt. And that's all the additives that I'm adding. Again, my husband's, we're trying to watch everything with his health. I want him to eat healthier. I love him and I want him around for a long time. So I'm doing everything in my power to try to help him change his diet to eat healthier. And he was having trouble with he loves chili, and he loves spaghetti, and he loves, lasagna. But he's having problems with the acidity, so we're trying to come up with just a basic sauce with nothing extra added. And they keep adjusting his medication, so hopefully that'll help with his acid problem. So this is what I'm trying to do to make it healthier for myself and my husband. So by me making the meatballs, I know that there's no extra preservatives in it. It was just basically ground beef, quick oats, a little bit of Italian seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder, and that's all that's added. I know there's nothing extra hidden or nothing extra added. And the same thing with the spaghetti sauce. I just went with the basic, just the traditional spaghetti sauce, which has the least amount of tomatoes and other additives into it. So until I'm able to make my own spaghetti sauce, I'm just trying to do the best I can by using something that's basic, so it's not as hard on him. And this so far is working. It doesn't, so I'm not adding any extra tomatoes or anything else to the sauce. I'm just making as basic as I can. And I think that's all I have today. Let me see if I can't reheat my coffee here real quick. So again, I'm making my own sandwich breads. I'm making my own sourdough bread with a new starter that I started here online. So I am making as much as I can all natural, to try and get him away from more and more of the additives that, you would get if you get a loaf of bread. You have your preservatives in it. The pasta. Now that pasta I did not make, but I am starting him off. I tried him he tried my homemade fettuccine noodles, and he absolutely loves them. And I have the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker that I made these with, and it does do the spaghetti. But I have a lot of the spaghetti noodles already here, and I'm trying to use them first. So I'm going to try the spaghetti noodles. I'm not sure how they'll dry. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Now, the pasta, the fettuccine, does very well when I'm drying it on a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil. And I usually do four pounds of pasta at a time. I have 2-gallon jars, and I know that will hold exactly my 4 pounds of pasta when I make it with the Pasta and Beyond. And then I'll put it out on a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil, and I'll just line them up on my island, and I'll just go through and kind of turn them, and every so many hours, and I'll just make sure they're good and dry. And when I know that they're good and dry, then I'll place them in my glass jar. I'll use my oxygen absorbers, and they turn out amazing. So I love the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker for the fettuccine, but I have not tried it on any of the other pastas, and I've not tried it on it's called a Pasta and Beyond because it does pasta, and then it does frozen treats and juices. Now, I haven't tried that part of the Pasta and Beyond. I've just done the fettuccine noodles, and they turned out absolutely amazing. Amazing. So, I am trying to mill my own flour now, and as much as I can, trying to make all of my own breads. And he absolutely loves the transfer from store-bought bread to the homemade bread. He's absolutely loving that. He's loving the sourdough bread. And his body seems to really be liking that all natural so much better than, something I'm buying with all the preservatives. So anyway, that's all I have. I'm going to get off of here and clean up my kitchen, and then I'm going to sit down and enjoy some coffee. And I usually only stay on here about an hour and a half because I do have my bad leg and foot. But if you just come in, we made spaghetti and meatballs. I did the homemade meatballs if you want to go back to the beginning. And then I made some garlic toast on the side. And that basically is all I am doing this morning. And then I'm going to get all of this cleaned up and get ready to go up to the new property that we're working. We just purchased it, and we're starting from the ground up. There's absolutely nothing there, just trees and dirt and leaves. So it's a lot of work. So I'm trying to do things like this, and early in the morning while I'm waiting for everything to dry up, I can go ahead and get everything ready. That way when I come home this evening, all I have to do is divide this up on plates and heat it in the microwave, and I have a quick dinner this evening because I know that we're going to be tired. I'm going to have my puppies up there, and they just absolutely love it. I call them my puppies. They're a year old and almost 2 years old. So anyway, that's all I got this morning. I need to get all of this cleaned up so I can get them babies loaded up, and we can go enjoy the day at the new property and supervise. My husband and I are now supervisors because we're not able to do the work ourselves, but we make really good supervisors. So until next time, bye-bye everyone. And don't be afraid to come in and enjoy your kitchen. And, if you have a small family, maybe do like I did and make a larger batch, and then you'll have extra meals, one for today, and then some to put in the freezer for another day. So that's all I have. And I'm going to hop off of here and get the rest of my day started. So I want to thank you for joining me. If you go back to the beginning, I made the homemade meatballs and then put the spaghetti together. And that's basically all I did this morning. And then made some garlic toast on the side. So, till next time, bye-bye everyone. And as always, thank you so much. You all are always so kind. You're so patient with me, and I really appreciate that. And I just want to thank you for your kindness and for your patience and understanding. And I'll catch you the next time. I'm going to go out here and enjoy some of this sunshine and go watch some more progress get done on the new property. So till next time, bye-bye, everyone. Enjoy your day. And I'll see you the next time. Have an absolutely wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for coming and sharing my life with me and stopping and sharing my kitchen. And bye-bye. Enjoy your day. See you later.